Log in to KofiPaisaTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, from Spears the Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, One Night Before Bed by Any Haret Shun Calfunny, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Paisa, From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Haret Shun Calfunny, As I Learned, We All Learn by Kofi Paisa. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards available now on KofiPaisaTV.com.
Man, ETM Hotel, Rennie Sean, welcome in peace. My name is Sean. Man, what a great build over there off the 20 for 20 to end the series over there on Dagger Squad. We had the Amara Squad live, which will be joined by many members in just a moment. We got Brother Smash on the panel, Sutek and Satepan Ra of Kofi Paisa Research Team. We live over on the Mossy channel. We glad to have Brother Smash, the rap god, always in the building. Man, we were having a good conversation behind the scenes regarding mathematics, and we got some questions that need some answering, you know what I'm saying? So we just came to follow up. So I'm gonna let my brother Satepan Ra, Sutek, and Brother Smash, handle business, man, and continue to build. So if y'all want to go ahead and unmute while the others come in, y'all can go ahead and build.
I got something I want to play. Hey, y'all hear that?
We just heard it a little bit, just some ticking.
Okay, that's for Asar, man. He got to come out and play, man, because yeah, I mean, because the conversation was good. Like I was just saying before we started, the conversation was good. He just made a bold claim, you know what I'm saying? And we had this conversation on Facebook, but he finally gave us his source. But what I want to know is, is there any other people outside of his source that can substantiate that science or that mathematics is not fact and it's not science? And like I said, he made some good points. He made some good arguments. I only heard, he got it from this one person. So that's just what I want to know. What up, Sutek?
Man, peace to the fam, peace to the chat. Make sure y'all like and share the show. Yeah, interesting build, man. I can't wait to get back into it. Science is not a mathematics is not a fact. Is a very bold statement, and I'm just like y'all, bro. I want to see it. I want to see them sources. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it any, like my brother Satep said, is it any other sources that validate your claim? And I want to know also, is it any opposing views to go against the validation?
Yeah, us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good build though. Waiting on the brothers to come in, the rest of the brothers.
What's up, J.O.? You on here?
What up, y'all? I'm clear.
Yep.
So, again, how they propose it, I ain't mad at how they proposed it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you think about it, when you go into math class, so to speak, you ain't learning fact. You're learning how to make calculations, and these calculations produce facts. And so, along my line of thinking, I would say it would not be so wise to say math ain't facts. Whenever something produces, it is not necessarily, but you feel me? If I'll take back. If math produces facts by us running a series of equations, then you can't take that from mathematics. But given his argument and given the argument that math is not science credit, he made some good points that math is often used by scientists, and then we start thinking math is actually the science, but really math is the tool to lead them to come to a fact so that they can know something inside of science. So I would still say math is facts just on that, just because you will use those tools to equate what we know as new facts.
And that's where I'm at with it. Okay, we got Unc in here. We got the God Killer. What up, Unc?
What up, man? Where everybody at? I see y'all in the building.
I put them in the back. I put the link in. I sent it to on Facebook too, so I don't know if they got it.
All right, let me keep passing link, man. Go ahead, I'm listening.
You could drop it in the squad thing, but yeah, we're talking about math right now, yo.
So yeah, that link I put in there was a good link, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was.
It was cool. I'm with Smash on the way it was presented. You still gotta hash it all the way out, even though there's no consensus. You still gotta hash it all the way out to give it. We need to be specific, because when you're dealing with them numbers, you know what I'm saying. Even though you can say abstract all we want, but when when we get into nature, that changes the actual argument.
And what I want to know, I want to know Asar's views on the Fibonacci sequence and its correlation with mathematics being found in nature. I want to hear his argument on that. Is anybody familiar with the Fibonacci sequence?
Yeah, that's not scientific at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't look into it. That's why I said I just wanted to know his view on it.
Yeah, like the patterns and flowers and all that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nope. Yeah, you won't hear no credible scientists dive on that at all. Not at all.
That's kind of pseudoscientific. The whole universe is you can look at it in a certain number pattern, and everything is in a spiral and all of that. That's called, what's that called? Patternicity.
Patternicity, yeah. You seeing yep. Your brain make you see patterns.
And then mathematicians. That's why we got. If you listen to Lawrence Krauss, he'll tell you that's why we got physicists to make sure we keep the mathematicians grounded.
Right.
The physicists keep the mathematicians grounded, yeah, because they'll dive out there quick.
Now let me ask y'all this. Is there a mathematician that say math isn't scientific?
No, I didn't say math wasn't scientific. I don't know.
No.
Scientific.
That's what Asar is saying.
He's saying it ain't science, but it's scientific. Let me see. Remember that article I put in there?
Math is the language of the universe. So
I get that.
Yeah, you can't. You only. That's how you describe the universe, through mathematics. So math is definitely science. Math is a tool that science uses.
Yeah, and that it says math.
So is math a fact?
Yeah, it say mathematics is science.
Hold on, let me hear what he's saying, because we know where you stand. I don't know where he at with it.
Oh,
math describes facts. So math is a descriptive tool. So sometimes it has variables, you know what I mean? So it ain't always a fact, right? So math is sometimes describing different phenomena, different variables, and sometimes facts. Yes, it's a way to figure out unknowns also. So sometimes we don't know things. So through mathematics we can figure out the unknowns.
I don't think nobody said that he said that math was not scientific. He didn't.
No, he said math. It's not science. And I mean, I don't know if I'm doing if y'all can hear me clear.
Yeah, we hear you.
His that I interjected on was math is not a fact. Scrutinized that fact, found it, and left that statement alone and went at the math is not science. I want to take note of.
Yeah, that's what it was. Math is not science.
Well, it's not a science. When you look at the sciences, they don't list math as that. But I always thought it was like a tool.
Yeah,
And
the rim is not basketball, right? But you need that rim to play basketball. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, you ain't got no ball. Facts. Yeah, that. Let me see. I mean, it was kind of throwing some philosophy in there too, a little bit. Kind of threw a little philosophy in there a little bit. I think kind
That's
of
why I say it depends on what we're honing it down to. Like, we made it a wide variety of a topic when we should have just narrowed it down. Like when we're dealing with when we're dealing with nature, what's the relevance of math in nature? But when we're dealing with abstract thought, we could be more specific. Like it's so many different avenues, and like I said, scientists are still having these arguments themselves. Mathematicians and scientists are having these debates, so it's not really like one.
Man, good conversation. I missed the whole thing, man. I came in like at the last, like when Garfield.
Oh man, you missed it, dog.
He was finna shut it down. That's when I was coming in, when Garfield started telling y'all he finna shut it down.
Yeah, you missed a good discussion, man. That's why I wanted Star to get on here.
Yeah.
He was making some bold claims.
So y'all think?
Get him on.
I'm just saying, why do we argue that you can't find abstract concepts in nature, as if we didn't know that since the Medu Nature? Just a determinative and a glyph for concepts that you can't find in nature, but they are real things. I just want to point
for some reason you echo in Smash. It ain't terrible, but it's a little bit of an echo.
I couldn't hear him echoing. He sounded clear to me. Talk again, Smash.
Microphone check. I don't know what be going on. Am I echoing?
No.
Oh, you good now? Yeah, you good now. Go ahead.
No, I was just.
What happened? I think he muted himself.
All right, my bad. So I'm again logic behind the argument that you find height in talking about abstract things that aren't real. I don't get that logic. First of all, it's based on trying to expound on a statement made that was go find an 8 in nature. And I said 8 is used to quantify values, and so I can find you 8 objects. And then I could take away those 8 objects and show you -8. That's what I mean. And so I was trying to follow the logic behind the argument. Can't find height in nature. What does that mean exactly? You could go look at a tree and it to an oak tree, and you'll find height in nature. But if you saying that the concept of what height is can't be found, that's a silly argument.
Yeah, because that's what I was saying. Like, math describes what's going on in nature. Like, if the difference between that oak tree and the pine tree is the height. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a part of the difference. That's part of how we describe nature. That's how we describe reality. So I mean, numbers are abstract. Yeah, I understand that part. Like you can't go pick a number 8 off a tree or nothing like that, right? But you could pick 8 leaves off of a tree. So like I'm with you, Smash. I'm not really understanding where the argument is at here. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, we only use numbers to describe things. We only use math to describe things.
I think a lot of our inability to look at negative numbers as a real thing also lies in our, our earth orient. Can y'all hear me clearly?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, if I go out, just let me know. I mean, of course, there's no being earth oriented like that. Then you think height is even a thing in the universe. Height is only a measurement from the ground upwards. Take a person into the atmosphere, and height ain't a thing at all. And so then, if we are again, I think we got a start that joint. I want to start up saying because we were talking about height, ability to grasp the logic behind finding height in a desert. I mean, height in the real actual world, which you use to expound on finding an 8 in the world. Well, but just let me. I said that of course we know that these abstract concepts, metal nature. So refer to the scroll. That scroll terminative that means abstract that you can't just find, but it's a real thing. Okay, and so I pointed to the sequoia tree being taller than the oak tree is how we find in nature. But again, along your logic, that's not height. That is us quantifying the difference between the length of those objects, which is what height is. And so if take ourselves out of our orientation, we realize height ain't a thing either because it ain't no outer space. Space is length maybe, but if you're not stand vertical on the ground, it ain't height no more. And so height is found in only and
Actually, only where is gravity at?
place that this is that
You
where
have to be oriented up or down.
the center would have to be orient from that a vertical point. If you float in space, height is irrelevant.
Hold on.
So
I have a question. Am I the only one who is hearing Smash repeat and echo?
I'm hearing it. I was hearing it. It
Well,
was worse.
y'all gotta make y'all mind Smash.
It was a lot worse than that.
I mean, I guess everybody pointed out that I want a lot. So when I know what's going on with my stuff, so I'm just gonna mute and listen.
Yeah, I was able to hear everything you said. It wasn't that terrible or whatever.
No, I can hear you clearly.
A little. I think you was just getting feedback from your mic or something like that. But yeah, you was clear though.
Well, which I'm on my telephone, and I've been just I don't know. They must be.
He got that number 8 microphone.
That's
the abstract. That was the physical, and it was the abstract coming after that. You know what I mean?
Nah, the conversation it is interesting, but and so to Smash's point, he's saying, well, wait a minute, if you deal with finances in the stock market, right, the negative has a value, and then I was like, well, wait a minute, okay, but if somebody slapped the shit out you, they knock you down, then you could never say that energy wasn't a real thing. Although it's a measurement, it has an effect on things, right? Just like the stock market has an effect on your pocket if you invest in it. It has an effect on a lot of things like pork bellies. Okay, that affects people's lives literally. So I don't like to use the term energy is not real. I think you used a word that I like that a little bit better. So you said it was, what did you say? You didn't say it was quantitative. What did you say?
that it is a property of matter.
Okay, I could deal with that. Yep, that sounds better.
And all measurements that we use are to describe. That's why at the beginning of that conversation, I read the definition of mathematics, and in that is describing relationships. Now, when I came on the program just now, I heard Brother Smash say something like the difference between these two trees or something like that or whatnot. So you would use this abstract concept to describe the difference, because you're using math to model differences. That's what an equation is. And this is very important to get, because this is why when I have these linguistics debates with folks who think they know linguistics, and they try to have scientific arguments on linguistic stuff. Linguistics doesn't enter the realm of science until relatively recently, and that is only because we now have instruments that can measure certain aspects of speech sounds. Before then, it was just strictly logic. And regardless, when you're talking about historical comparative linguistics, it is simply mathematics. It is simply logic. And a lot of us like to use jargon, not understanding these fundamental nuances, but very important nuances that distinguish and tells you in which direction that you can go in terms of your research project. And so I'm not saying that, for example, that mathematics is not a tool, in a useful tool or whatnot. It's just that we make a difference, we make a distinction, I should say, between mathematics and science. And so any substantive scientist will let you know that no, mathematics is not. That's why it's up there with, it's up there, it's essentially philosophy. And so while you can, calculate certain things and make predictions, just because something is logically and mathematically true does not mean it mirrors reality, which is why scientists rely specifically on experimentation. And mathematics will never substitute for experimentation, results of experimentation in the scientific realm. Although mathematics is the precise language used to describe phenomena that in relationships and patterns that scientific experiments provide for us in this day. And so we have to learn these fundamental differences, especially when we're teaching research methods to the conscious community, because what we have in abundance is a lot of metaphysicians using language from science and mathematics. And, like how the Nation of Islam, Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam. Right? And just using stuff all out of context. No, Islam is a religion. It's not mathematics. What are you measuring? And so we just got to be, that's my issue. It's just we need to use the precise language. If we're going to use science and be scientific advocates, then we need to understand that field thoroughly before we start, challenging others for their non-scientific literacy.
I think somebody fell off. Yeah, I fell off.
He'll be back.
Smash. You on mute, Smash.
I have my phone in my pocket because I was just listening with headphones. Can y'all hear me now? With echo or not?
Perfect. No, you perfect now.
Oh yeah, I guess I had to put on
positive 8 now.
See, I told you it's just the same thing. It's just the same thing. Hey, but again, all things are hard to realize because we're Earth oriented. But you'll know -8 if you flying like a in outer space, or maybe if you're degrees on a torque angle or something. Angles also let you realize negative things are real. But we don't have to go too far on that, because I understand completely what you're saying. Seeing if I still was raw at debating, you know what I'm saying?
But no, like even with the concept of negative, really, like negative and positive aren't values into themselves. All they really describe is a direction on a timeline. And so we say negative is going in the direction left, and positive is going into the direction right on a timeline. That's it. And so people put extra value on it, like, you know, like with negative conduct, positive energy, yada yada. That's not scientifically and mathematically how that it is used. So when you talk about, for example, a negative value in the stock market, all you're saying is that you're giving a direction of value. So at one point it was on a timeline, it was going right, but then on the timeline it was going left.
Number line.
Yeah, well, you could say timeline, number line, same thing. It's just a line. Everyone has at least have been introduced to that cross, so to speak, in which we measure values and time, or we mark it
according to
using it.
And it's according to the zero, so it's left of the zero or right.
But it doesn't
zero.
It doesn't necessarily, like when you start getting into negative numbers, it's left of the zero. But
but that's what we're talking about, the difference between the negative and the positive numbers.
But when you, for example, if I'm on a timeline and I'm at 10 and I go to 7, I went negatively because I went left. I don't have to go past 0 to be negative in terms of the relationship, because again, the math is describing,
that's still going to be a positive number.
A positive number, but again, you're going left, so you're going negative. And so what I'm trying to argue here is that going negative doesn't necessarily mean going past 0. And so we have to understand this in the context of number lines.
You're saying what I was able to say a lot better. I said at least about the part of -8 is like.
I don't know what it is with your echo.
No, it can't be me. They got on headphones. I'm echoing to everybody.
Yeah, to me.
So my phone mic must be.
Yeah, it's doing it again.
It is now too.
Yeah, it's just repeating.
All right, I'm just listening. I'm just.
It ain't the worst in the world. I mean, it ain't a Sabio mic. Shout out to my man Sabio. You know what I mean? But you can just hear it echo a little bit.
So what we talking about overall again? And I'm only going to be here a little while. I do have to go to work in the morning for the white man.
So I got a question for you. I want to know, is there anybody else? Because you I was laying in bed. I didn't have something to write down. You quoted the gentleman that you had on your show that had 3 PhDs.
5.
5. Sorry, 5. And this is where you got this information from studying this gentleman here.
No, that was just a ready source that I have. So I'm in Texas right now, but I live in Philadelphia. So the vast majority of my books are still in Philadelphia. So it just know that definition was in that book because I just happen to have it on hand. But no, it's not strictly based on him. I have a variety. Remember, I'm a computer scientist, so that's all we did is study math and computer science. And so I have all kinds of math books and finite math and calculus and trig and electrical engineering books and all that other kind of stuff at the house. And so a good book that for anybody who's wanting to learn more about math is what is that book? It's on pi, Learning to Bake Pie or something like that. It's a Chinese woman. I shouldn't even say Chinese. I don't even know if she's Chinese, but an Asian woman, an East Asian woman, who's a PhD in mathematics, who wrote it, and I like how she defines mathematics as well, and it's something along the lines of the study of. Matter of fact, I have it defined exactly because I cited in the Lucha Volume 2. So I can at least go there.
It's always good when you can use your own work. So
hey, that's the beauty in this. And so because that's what she teaches. Like, she's a theoretical mathematician, and so just give me 1 second. Because I had to cite this in my discussion with Dr. Wesley Muhammad in our ongoing debate. And so I might have to go into my PDF, but it's something to the nature of it is the study of logic in anything that obeys the rules of logic. Actually, hold on, here we go. Or I should be in the area. Okay, yeah, here it goes. So it's mathematics is the study of anything that obeys the rules of logic, using the rules of logic. And her name is Chang, 2015, page 10. And so she goes and she has a whole chapter on the abstractions of mathematics and why mathematics isn't science and things of this nature. Like, I have a whole bunch of texts like that.
And this is coming from a mathematician.
Exactly. And so the other guy's a mathematician. But even still, the other brother as well, he has a PhD in mathematics and computer science. That's what I'm saying. If they saying it, shit, ain't no arguing it. Well, just because you don't want to fall into that appeal to authority either. Right.
Go at 1 or 2.
Yeah. But I'm not going to tell somebody who is an expert in the field that there's something that they're not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to tell a mathematician math ain't science if I'm not a mathematician and I don't study it. So
yeah,
I'll take their word for it on that one.
And listen to this echo real quick.
I mean, like a microscope ain't science. I'm getting a bad echo now. But a microscope ain't science, but it's a tool of science. It's like math. Math just help you understand things. It's a when you put together equations, you put together like a sentence or a paragraph. You just describing the world around you in a way. You know what I mean? So in a more confined way, in a more confined and refined way is all. It's just a descriptive tool. I mean,
it's a language that tries to eliminate ambiguity.
There you go. I was put very well right there. That was put.
Yeah. Because in ordinary human language, like if for example in African American vernacular English, I could say that girl is bad. Well, in just normal standard English, bad can mean something in terms of what we would deem negative behavior, right? Something not socially acceptable. But when we say bad, we're saying it in the context of, well, that sister is very beautiful. She's very stunning and striking in her looks, right? Or we can say that when somebody's bad, that they are excellent in what they do. So I can be like, Sean is a bad man when it comes to this West African research. I'm not saying that he's a bad person, that he's, you know, has bad social characteristics and moral characteristics. I'm saying he's very good at what he does. And so because human language has these type of ambiguities that something could mean this, this, and that, you need a different type of language in science to where you can eliminate as much as possible ambiguities and where something can mean also something else. And so, you know, that's the nature of and one of the benefits of mathematics. It allows you to, you know, do thought experiments without, you know, making any kind of real world experiments, right? You know, like some things, for example, like we can logically deduce the age of the universe, but we can't experiment and scientifically demonstrate the age of the universe. You know, but with mathematics, we can get some idea based upon deduction and logic and using precise language. And so we got to understand mathematics as language. Matter of fact, there's a good book out there on that. I got to get the title and I'll share it with the public on the mathematics as language. And the reason why, like, you know, I'm really into this for two reasons. First of all is, you know, when I'm teaching linguistics and I have to put these arguments, these certain arguments into context, especially that we be having with a lot of these pseudo, you know, Google scholars who think they know what they're talking about when it comes to language and historical comparative linguistics. But also because I am concerned as one of the founders of Black Science Month, teaching science to our people. And to do science well in the modern era, you have to know the mathematics. And people find mathematics very hard. And the reason why, there's an evolutionary reason why this is the case, because our brains and our minds have developed in a way that we have to concretize everything. You know, we don't live in the real world in the abstract. And it takes a different type of thinking to do logic in mathematics. And when we just, as a human species, aren't evolved to do something like that, which is why you have to train and continuously train, you know, to do that type of work. And so that's why studying language, as I argue, if you teach people different languages when they're young, they have a better chance of being good at mathematics versus if they only know one language. And matter of fact, I remember reading back in the day when I was learning 3D Studio Max. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with that software for 3D modeling. You know, a lot of major movies was developed using 3D Studio Max. And so while I was reading the book by the people who created the software, at the beginning of the text where they're introducing themselves, they said that they first of all, they worked remotely, you know, building this software. They were in different countries and things of this nature when they first built it. And secondly, they all had something in common. They all played a musical instrument. And, you know, that I looked at that and I wanted to look at, you know, how many, you know, scientists and mathematicians, you know, play musical instruments. And you find that a lot of your top scholars in these areas do have some kind of musical ability. And so I'm looking at, you know, how we can transfer the knowledge of musicality and notes and things of that nature. Also languages for helping people to better understand mathematics. And so I have to be precise in my articulation in these studies and things of that nature. And you'll see these major correlations. But to your point, again, it has to be, and it has to reduce the ambiguity that you find in just ordinary human language.
Let me ask you a question, Asar. Do you play an instrument?
Yes, I do. I play keys. And I play a
Okay,
little
nice.
bit of drums, but not really heavy.
Okay. I can correlate with that because people who play instruments, I do believe, because I think it teaches timing. It even helped me with sports. Like I was an athlete, right?
Mhm.
But I believe because I played drums.
Uh,
So drums is all about rhythm, all about timing. And I actually read music, so I knew how to read music and all that. So it's like I feel what you're saying when you said the scientists and they all play instruments and stuff. I think playing instruments is key to unlocking some potential. Not nothing pseudo, but like I don't know. It teaches you something. I don't know.
But it's, again, mathematics has to deal with this, in part, I should say, has to deal with the study and relationships of patterns. And so when you're doing music, it's about the patterns. And so when you can read and write music, especially in that type of notation, you're creating patterns that these are, like, when you look at musical notes, they're abstractions. They're not real notes. They just represent a note.
Represent a sound.
Exactly. And so, that's what it is on paper. So if you understand that, then you understand, for example, when you're reading hieroglyphs,
right?
It's not a sound that you see on the paper or on the temple wall. It's a sign. It's an abstraction to represent a phenomena in reality.
Right.
And so to understand what that sound probably was, you have to understand and use mathematics. What are the patterns that emerge in terms of the articulation of your tongue, in these areas? And what more precisely, could the value, the phonetic value be, for those of us who are interested in trying to reconstruct the ancient Egyptian language, or the proto-language from which ancient Egyptian emerged. And so you have to, when we having these discussions and arguments, you always have to remind folks that you will never, ever be able to recover accurately ancient Egyptian phonology. One, because you need to be able to record actual ancient Egyptians speaking, which is an impossibility at this point. Secondly, even when you did, even if you were able to do such a thing, everybody speaks a little bit differently. So, recording one person's speech is not going to be reflective accurately of everyone's speech. So you have to kind of do an average thing. And so even when you do like an IPA representation of a particular sound, it's an idealization, an idealized abstraction of the probable sound, or on average, the way that people spoke in a general area at a specific time in history. And so, when and this just goes now to education in general. So all of us, and even if we're not in the high school or middle school systems, we're in a sense educators. And so we got to start thinking in terms of like an educator. And so how can we cross-pollinate disciplines to help young people understand the relationship between these things? So that's why, like in the other conversation on Garfield's, notice when I read the issue on the mathematics, it said that mathematics is more formal linguistics than it is science. Because linguistics is mathematics. It's just logic. And so, and I bring this up because I've been in arguments and debates where people will try to say, well, he's trying to be a scientist and bring that into the linguistics. I'm like, y'all don't understand what this is.
Now, who was giving you that argument, Asar? Who was coming? Who was giving you feedback?
Who else in this universe? Do I even have to say the
my
name?
My bad. I thought you meant like the scholars.
Oh no.
Okay.
It's but that's just my point. And the point is that because everyone has a phone now and a Gmail account and can create a YouTube page, any and everybody can just put all kinds of rhetoric out there. And it makes it harder for those of us who are really truth seekers to try and teach our people. Because for one thing, see, this is one of the things you got to understand. Truth seekers, it takes us a while to come to conclusions. But not pseudos. As soon as they think of it, it's true. And as soon as they are convinced of whatever's in their head, they turn on the switch on YouTube and do a series of 10 videos. By the time you have probably come to half a conclusion of something you're researching. So the pseudos are taking the time or taking advantage of the time that you scholars are taking all that long time researching. And in between you researching and being able to articulate something to the public, they've already made 20 videos, which you got to come back. So now, that time is very important because now their videos are in circulation. It's getting views. The comments bring their stuff up. So when you start coming and talking some real truth stuff and trying to be all detailed and academic, they ain't trying to hear that. We'd have seen all the 20, pseudo videos, and, we're tired of the subject now. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, what time is it?
I ain't got nothing else. If anybody else got something.
Yeah, I thought y'all was gonna be. What's the name? He dipped out. Really up. But yeah, anyway. I'm sorry.
No, I said you answered my question. I appreciate it.
No problem. But yeah, that's what, like, I say this every time we get together. The books with the information is good, but you should have just as many research methods books in various different fields of study. Even if you don't plan on being an expert in that, you need to get the research methods and get a couple of them. Because once you start getting those texts, you'll start to see the limitations of people's arguments. And not only that, I encourage everyone to try to find some MOOC online and really start getting into statistics. Matter of fact,
you said you teach a class. What text you use to teach your class?
Well, for my research methods class, it's just Siri McDougall III's book on research methods in Africana studies.
Okay.
Because that's primarily, but that's more so the social aspect, theoretical type studies. But I would recommend others for other different disciplines. But the caring concern that I have primarily for us is dealing with Africana studies, and so that's why that's one of the books. There's another one that's a little bit more expensive, so I don't recommend it just for the general community. And that's by Dr. James Conyers, who just passed away. He was one of my teachers at the University of Houston. And so he has a number of texts on research methods in Africana studies.
Hey, sorry. Sosa, as he said, Netanyahu is saying that he gonna prove that the Olmecs is African through linguistics. He said, "Have you researched that?"
I saw that, and look, I just at this point, I'm just done with Netanyahu. It's just nothing you can do to help that brother, and I know he has a zeal for scholarship now, and compared to what according to him, when he was doing in another life when he was younger, it's leaps and bounds ahead. But at the same time, he's one of those individuals you can't teach him anything, and because of that, he comes to a lot of conclusions. He doesn't even realize that the Olmec script hasn't even been deciphered yet.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, hold on, that script ain't even. They just deciphered the Mayan shit not too long ago.
So yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'm gonna let that be, because he has people in his ear. And I won't say the elder's name, but he's fighting hard for Ivan Van Sertima and the Olmecs.
Oh yeah,
and so I'm pretty sure y'all have had some discussions about them already.
Right. Yeah. I think he had a problem with us with the discussion that we had about that. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but this is what I mean. And so like this brother here makes a video about me at least once a week. Or make a post somewhere about me, and it's just I'm the kind of person, bring me your teachers. And like I said, for 2021,
teacher don't want no smoke with you though, not directly. So
but that's what I'm saying. Like people, and I get these comments from people. They never say it directly to me, but have direct access to me.
Right.
But will never give me a call and say, hey, let's discuss, or I want to get clarity on your position on this and why, Never. It never happens.
That's what scholars supposed to do, man. You call yourself a scholar, like and you practice ma'at, that's good character, man, to do that, but
now I can see if we don't know each other,
right.
I don't have an obligation, or you don't have an obligation to me to like contact me and be like, hey, you can just make your critique, but at least you would do it, hopefully in writing, so that the public can see. And so with others, they don't make that, because it's in two part, because once you put it on paper, it's on, and you got to stick by them words that you wrote down.
Stand on it.
And one thing I'm good at is, regardless of what my position is and how you feel about it, I expose that you do not know as much on the subject as you thought you did when we're debating. And there's a lot of folks out here that be trying to use their PhDs. I can give a rat's A about your PhD. There's a lot of these folks, you find out that their PhD is in something very narrow and something not in the subject that we'll be talking about.
Right. I hate that, man. I hate that. Like, don't throw that around unless it's in the field, unless it's in the subject matter. If we ain't talking about computer science, there's no need to throw it up. Not saying nothing to you. I'm just saying, like, it's no need to throw that PhD in computer science around if we're not talking about it. We talking about X, Y, Z. So, yeah, I get it, man.
Yeah, it's they talk a lot, but they do not want to. They do everything to avoid having that direct conversation with me about the subject. But they are very bold and clear in other spaces when I'm not there to have their commentary, and that's what I find problematic.
Hey, man, sorry. You a juggernaut out here, man. They don't. I'm just saying, dog. You a juggernaut. They don't want that smoke.
I'm not even all that. It's just
you don't think you are, but you are. I'm trying to tell you, man. I'm telling you.
I'm just a person that I'm not going to argue with you unless I've done some serious research on it. Now, I may throw something out there random, but as soon as you say, I'll be like, yeah, I'll take that back. Because, I know I'm not that strong on something. But in certain of these areas, I'm very strong on. And I've read the materials that they've read. I know when they're lying on a source or stretching the source and things of that nature. And a lot of times, people will make these commentaries and just be wrong. And I just but that's why, we take the model of Diop, and in that we have to be cross-disciplinary. But in the modern time, we need to update it and do exactly what he suggested and create bona fide research teams where everybody has an expertise in something, and y'all collectively are attacking a major research question or a series of research questions and then publishing that. And so, this is the direction in which we're moving into. And so, for example, probably towards the end of the year, I'll be launching the Martin Delaney Center for Egyptology. It's going to be a web space, but I've already been interviewing a number of Egyptologists, nubiologists, and just other scholars in how to create this and do this right. And, we'll be developing a Class A journal and things of that nature. I'll probably have 1 or 2 publications under the Martin Delaney Center for Egyptology that'll come out before the center itself. But, this has been in the planning for a minute now. But, I'm trying to take Diop's advice, and that the only way we'll know if he's saying is true or if it works is if we try it out. And so, we can stop waiting for these lone super scholars to come through and be the be all in all areas of Africana. It's like, no, we just need to, put together the team. You get your degree in anthropology. You get your degree in genetics. You get your degree in linguistics. You get your degree in whatever. We come together and we attack this the way it needs to be attacked.
Okay, so you talking about forming the Avengers.
But that's what they're doing now. Exactly. And right. That's exactly what this is what trips me out. That for all the people who love Diop and follow Diop, even on the African continent, I don't see research teams. Like legit bona fide research teams. And this is problematic because the Europeans, like when you think about, for example, the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, Switzerland, right? These
talking about you talking about that machine that they had on the Da Vinci Code movie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Similar,
basically.
but just to give
that's it.
Yeah, just to give people an idea of what you're talking about, because you say something like that and they not know.
Yeah. That thing, it's different countries came together, chipped in, different scientists come, all to try to find the Higgs boson, for example, and any other kind of bosons and particles in the universe. They realize that, not no one scientist is going to be able to do this. We need a collective. And so, they operate off of unity. And I understand that we all ain't going to necessarily get along. But, you can at least put together a team of 5 or 6 people. Like somebody needs to address the timeline issue, because they already have a text. And they put in Egypt like at 2700 BCE and trying to make it younger than Sumer.
Now, let me ask you this, since we're talking about Egypt and the timeline. What what qualifying what people on the team would you need to substantiate a good solid timeline? Like what degrees would people need to have, to be on that research team and get that question answered?
You would need some botanists. You would need some paleontologists. You would need some archaeologists. You would need some linguists. You would need a variety of people, but you would need certain people. You even need philologists, of course, people who can read the text and can do textual criticism and start doing comparisons with, looking for loan words and critically analyzing the shape of the loan words and what period that could have possibly entered, into, Egyptian society or something to this nature. It's a wide variety of things. So it's not just going to be your average everyday person looking at this. You're going to need a true team.
Now the team that they currently got that dates it, do they consist of the catalog that you just stated, or?
Yes, and more.
So if they have that already in place and they coming up with this conclusion, are you saying we need to get another team behind them to falsify it?
Yes, because that's what science. That's what science is. It is not. It's not. Well, yes, it's you are to falsify them, but you're not trying to be biased in the way that like you're just trying to make everything that they say wrong.
Right.
You're falsifying.
We already don't agree because we don't agree with the timeline, correct?
Exactly, but we have to. Let me say it like this, and I'm gonna kind of give you a brief story. So some years ago, when I met, I met him before that. When I met Dr. Shamarka Keita. So, but that was over 10 years ago when I met Dr. Shamarka Keita. But it was sometime after that. We was at a conference. Matter of fact, it was a DIOP conference. And at the conference, he spoke and he was talking about his idealized African American or African Studies program or department at a university, and what type of people and researchers that you need to have in that department, especially if you're going to do classical African studies. And so he was talking about your geneticists, your anthropologists, your paleontologists, et cetera, right? And so he knew, he knows about, the issue of funding and all of that. That's why he said it's the ideal. And at this conference, he and I was having a private conversation, and he was talking about why it's important for us to go to school and get the degrees in the sciences and to come back on these classical African questions. Because what ends up happening is that the Black scholars in Africa will get to a point where their expertise doesn't allow them to go further. So they have to, at this point, basically, what do you call it? Subcontract or what's the word I'm looking for? Not subcontract. What do companies do when they outsource? You have to outsource these real technical calculations and things to Europeans. And, he was telling me stories about how certain Europeans were sabotaging the research of these Africans because these Africans didn't have the know-how to go back and check their work or to do the work themselves. And so, as I was saying in the other conversation, and why does studying, I didn't say that in that conversation. I had 2 interviews today. So I had one on the Hoppy Film, but I was talking on the Hoppy Film channel about why it's important to learn the meta nature for yourself. So we don't, and one of the reasons being so we don't have to rely on Europeans for the interpretation of ancient Egyptian cultural phenomena and their ideas and stuff in writing. Because as long as you have to use them as a middleman and you aren't qualified to go back and check what they're writing, then you're always at the mercy of them. And you'll never have the expertise to be able to challenge any of the things in which they say. And so that's what makes an organization such as this so dangerous to certain folks, because we're encouraging to study meta-nature and to go back and look at the Meripata Stela and say, that don't look like is necessarily Israel. Let's look at this again.
Yeah, Smash, man, he killed that.
You know, so that's the thing. So, you know, even if we feel it's too late for us, let's mentor and encourage and try to pull our money together. And, you know, even if it's a small scholarship, just to buy books, you know, for a group of young people going into the sciences. And we, you know, help to develop their Afrocentricity so that they always be oriented towards their people and to use their knowledge for the advancement of their people. That's what we do. It's not about the arguing. It's that there's too many people trying to take us away from Africa. Now we just got silly conversation as if all the Africans, like we can only claim West Africa. Like, no, you claim all of Africa.
Yeah, I know it was some contention with that.
That's conscious community stuff right there.
Right.
That's not you never seen that in history. Africans claim all of Africa. That's how we've done it. And that includes the Nile Valley, that includes Somalia, that includes Congo. And none of us probably from Namibia, but we claim Namibia. You know, we claim the Sahara Desert, Morocco, you know, Egypt, Tanzania. It's all Madagascar. You know, you don't start letting these people who hate themselves saying that we can only discuss and have conversations about West Africa. And anyone who says that obviously doesn't even know much about the slave trade and where all Africans came from. And so, you know, I'm sorry?
No, I say that's a good point.
Like, we all ain't Yoruba either. So if I decide to go and practice Yoruba religion, you know, I can ask the same question. Why y'all focus on talking about Yoruba religion? Why you got to be five? Why can't you just have West African? Like, there's no such thing as a West African religion. You know, you have different religious traditions for different people. There's major commonalities because they have the same ancestral culture, but there's no West Africa religion. There's Yoruba religion, there's Akan Ashanti religion, there's indigenous Wolof, Fulani, and you can only pick, you know, so many to do in your lifetime. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to choose the one that resonates with you the most. And so for some people, it's ancient Kemet. For some people, it's Yoruba. For some others, it's some other, you know, it's Dagara culture. For some, it's the Amazulu tradition. You know, as long as it's African, that's all that matters.
What about being Hebrew? He talking about JJ talking about it's Northeast Africa. Is that all right?
That's a contention that has to be dealt with as well, because I've brought this up even to Dr. Amma Mazama, because you know we was at a DIOP conference one year and she was talking about the Hebrews for example, and that being a backward religion, and it's not African. Well, it's like, well, Renoka Rashidi and Sheikh Anta Diop says that Arabia and the Levant is Northeast Africa. So what do you say about that? So now, that you use, I mean, we're at the Sheikh Anta Diop conference. So obviously you revere him enough to name the conference after.
Right.
So are you saying that you disagree with Diop now? That, Arabia and the Levant is Northeast Africa? Because you know what that means if that is the case, if Diop is right. That would make, Islam.
Read the comment real quick, Asar. He says, so you accept Madagascar as African land, but not Israel. Shaking my head.
That's fine. I mean, again, like for me personally, it's not about simply the landmass. It's about it's about a pool of characteristics in terms of the culture and ideology. So for one thing, I reject the Bible and the Quran because they reject the cultures that are on the continent of Africa in everything that they're about. They're anti-human. See, these are anti-human religions. And so I have a different criteria in the way that I classify these particular types of traditions. Because even when you think about the concept of Africa, the Africans didn't come up with the concept of Africa, Europeans did. And they set the borders. Like we made, like if we did it, what we're calling North Africa be one continent, and then anything from the Congo down could be another continent if we named it ourselves. How do we know that we would classify and categorize Africa the way that it is now?
Right.
And we have to be honest with this history. And so we have to start from scratch. That's
an example of that, Asar, is the Sudan, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like how they switched it from South Sudan to, I think they split the state of or whatever. I can't forget the exact politics behind it because it's been a while since I looked into it. But the people, they wasn't going for it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, but they had some other contentions, with that. But these, borders are arbitrary. The thing is that, and this is something that I'm working on. Like, what are the major characteristics of any people? And can we put that in a database and quantify it? And then start running algorithms to see which groups cluster with each other, given these values for these particular criteria.
That's heavy right there.
So, and one way that I look at the religion in terms of classifying, are religions that where God exists and created ex nihilo versus God is existence itself. Because when God is existence itself, there tends to be a different type of religion that emerges. And so we got to look deeply into that. And so the Abrahamic traditions are God's creating ex nihilo. And they have a hierarchy of being. But anyway, so yeah, it's not as cut and dry. It requires some thought. And, if we're going to talk about African agency, we're going to have to start from scratch and start reevaluating, these ways in which we see the world. Because even when we think we're free, we're still thinking like Europeans. And so we're African Americans who are conscious are like Neo and Matrix 2. we got some knowledge and we started flying in Matrix 1 at the end of the movie.
And that was a fight scene between him and Lawrence, though.
and stopping bullets, before they hit us. But then we come to Matrix 2 and we realize one was still in the Matrix. And we've been lied to. And that, even the concept of the one is a construct of the Matrix. So even you being African is equivalent to being the construct of the Matrix. What does that even mean? So now you have to ask deeper questions. When African people, identified themselves, how and by what criterion did they identify themselves? And then how did they classify other people? This is one of the reasons why I renamed Africa Bukanda. Going back to the orientation of African people and suggesting, saying a criteria for an identity. Why rename African Americans, the Bankole? Going back to our traditions and how we named ourselves and the criteria, the values in which we did. But yeah.
I don't know, man. They want to get on here and argue with you. I think it might be too late for that.
Hey, well, it is too late because I'm about to go to sleep because I got to work in the morning.
All right, it was definitely a good discussion, man.
All right. Appreciate y'all. Glad I can come and chat it up with y'all. Some of y'all may be asleep on the line. Still.
John, you still on here? All right, well, I'm going to have to close it out, man. Appreciate y'all for stopping through the after show. See y'all next time.
Peace.
Indeed. Peace.